Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for Jonathan. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for your patience, for your kindness and your generosity. I really do appreciate it. We'll get to all yours as soon as I possibly can. But thank you. I'm sorry for guys that's taking them a bit for me to taking me a bit to get to them, but that's why I'm uploading about 4 or 5 videos a day. But thank you so much, Jonathan. If anyone wants to request any type of video, a movie review, or re-review, or random thoughts, streams, commentaries, tier lists, rankings, video game playthroughs, random topics, reactions, whatever the case may be, PayPal is the best way to do it. I do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. For those who sent them, thank you. I do appreciate it. And as you can tell, the request for today is for the commentary for Blade Trinity, aka Blade 3. Now, I'm sure Jonathan already knows this. You probably already know this. I'm not a fan of this movie, but this will be interesting because, yeah, it's fun to do commentaries for films you like and or love, but it's always interesting to do commentaries for films you hate because I would say, in a way, they're more fun because you're just making fun of it and you're not trying to be respectful and you're just trashing it. Try to find as many different ways to say it sucks. So, this will be fun. But thank you, Jonathan. I'll pause the beginning for those who want to follow along. Let's get right into it. Just want to make sure I get my settings right here. Alright, 3, 2, 1, pressing play. For syncing, we have the New Line Cinema logo approaching. Nostalgia logo. Just back to the day, I would watch films like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 and 2, Mortal Kombat, Friday, among others with this. Of course, Nightmare on Elm Street. And then you have the Marvel logo. Now, I love Blade, the first one. I think it really gave some injection of adrenaline and vitality to the superhero genre, because Blade, I think, really did lead to X-Men, Spider-Man, all these other films, because you see Blade and, wow, this surprise hit. Maybe this can work, and you can take it seriously. And Blade dressed in all black, and then X-Men, what happened? They're all dressed in black. I think Blade doesn't get enough credit as it deserves for really bringing in a new era of superhero films. Excuse me, and comic book films. I mean, Blade, I think originally wasn't half vampire. I think he was just a vampire hunter with an afro, and then it became, I believe so. I could be wrong on that. And then eventually half vampire. I could be wrong on that. I'm not knowledgeable in the Blade comics, to be fair. But he wasn't, Spider-Man, X-Men, even Punisher level of success in comics. And Blade, that's why, it came seemingly out of nowhere, and it was a great vehicle, Wesley Snipes. And Blade 2, I liked even more. I think Blade 2 is my favorite of the three. Blade 2 kicks ass. That was, 2002, give or take, and then a few years later this comes out. I was excited for it, because I loved the first two. Okay, now he's going to fight Dracula. Okay, makes sense for a villain. You bring in Dracula, he's going to fight Dracula. But then, there's a lot of issues and problems behind the scenes. David Goyer, who had a hand in writing the first two, he finally goes in to direct. I don't think David Goyer's a good director. You look at all this other stuff he's done. The Unborn, The Invisible, they've either been mediocre or lame. He's never made a film that, directing-wise, that was great or awesome or cool, at least in my opinion. Wesley Snipes was going through a lot of difficulties. Of course, years after this, you'd have the whole tax evasion thing. But yeah, he was going through a lot of problems. And then, depending on who you want to look at with the story, people have different sides. It seems like either he didn't like David Goyer directing, and he didn't trust the guy, or he felt the script was taking too much away from Blade, which he'd be right on that. And but Wesley Snipes was at fault as well, smoking weed all the time and being disruptive. And you could have these conversations in a more sensible way, but the way he was handling it seemed like he was just being kind of a prima donna, or prima donna, not prima donna. So yeah, we have our vampires unleashing Dracula here. Triple H being one of them. Nipple H, Preparation H. I never liked Triple H. Now that armor Dracula has, where his face almost looks like Shao Kahn, I don't mind that look. Oh, I forgot he was in this. Eric Bogosian, who was in Talk Radio. He was one of the bad guys in Under Siege 2. Completely forgot he was in this. But yeah, like I said, Blade 2, I think, kicks ass. Blade Trinity, like I said, a lot of issues, a lot of problems, a lot of behind the scenes kerfluffle. And I think a lot of people, they would say the primary reason was Wesley Snipes. I know Ryan Reynolds did not get along with him, which is ironic, because years and years later, Deadpool and Wolverine, he was one of the guys that get Wesley Snipes back into it, to play Blade one more time. There's only going to be one Blade, which was a highlight of that movie. I have issues with Deadpool Wolverine, but I don't mind it. It's fun. It was cool to see Blade in there. And there's even a joke about, oh, you never liked me, you know, that type of thing. And I guarantee you, like Ryan Reynolds, the Wesley Snipes didn't. Because, you know, if it seemed like Wesley Snipes, in some part of his brain, was sensing the fact of he was being replaced, he was being kind of pushed to the side. But then, to repeat, his behavior didn't help matters either. So you can't stay in your fucking trailer smoking weed all day, where there's other witnesses, not just David Goyer, other witnesses saying this. How you just sort of give notes to the director, and you can kind of see it in the film where there were times he just checked out, or they had to shoot around him, or they had to shoot certain scenes. It was just Wesley Snipes by himself, and but at the same time, like I wanted to see a Blade 3. I didn't want to see the Night Stalkers prequel. And I'm not sure if it's this version, or there might have been a deleted scene where you saw like a little Night Watchers preview, like Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel fighting I think fighting some other enemy. I forget what it is. But yeah, this film just, you just feel like watching the movie that there's something ain't right. I think all that production issues helped in that. Again, I don't think you need to push, like, Wesley Snipes working with people. You already did that with Blade 2, and that was, to me, much better. Him working with the enemy, how did I trust you, but Blade still felt like the star. Here, in a way, even the way this opens, something about it feels off. And I would say of the openings for the three films, this one just came off as kind of meh. Because, I mean, the first one is iconic. The whole club scene, some would say, is the best scene in the movie. He's just wrecking house. Blade 2, you see him like fuck up all the vampires, going up and all through buildings. I think that just the way the titles come up seems a bit goofy. With the, like, the blase text. And this one they definitely want to incorporate more of the car. Which, okay. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a god-awful scene. It's not. To be fair, it's not. It just didn't seem as great as the first two. But there's still some competent editing and stuff here. Good stunt work. But yeah, we'll get to that. I'm just not a fan of the story they told in this. To me, it's a very lousy story. Like, you bring like, Guillermo del Toro, David Goyer had in writing it. And it's ironic because on Blade 2, there's a commentary where David Goyer and Wesley Snipes are in the same room doing a commentary throughout the whole film. So you think, okay, they definitely have some, you know, some kind of history together. So it's just weird to go into Blade Trinity and all the shit that happened. That was kind of a cool moment. Him just bouncing the guy in his car, then shooting him point blank, getting him out of the car. I mean, to be, if I'm being fair, the opening is like one of the better scenes in the movie. So again, it's not a bad scene. Yeah, as I watch it, it's okay. It's just doesn't feel as big, impactful as the first two, but it's okay. But the story, like, okay, you bring Kris Kristofferson back, but then you kill him off in the next movie. That just seems like a waste. That seems like a big waste. And then this whole thing where the humans find out about Blade and they think Blade is a killer and all this stuff. That just wasn't appealing to me. I mean, after the first film where, people see him in a hospital and such. I also thought it was weird that you never see that girl again. Remember at the end of Blade 1, who had the tear, or a tear? You keep it to yourself. I don't need it right now. And this whole idea of, okay, you make Blade kill a human, and then, like, frames him and such. I don't know, it just seemed, for me, just a weird direction in the story, because Blade already is an outcast. Blade is already in hiding. Like, Blade is already, like, not to be seen, and I don't know. It's not like he's a guy who's got, like, a daily job that does on the side. It has another life, wife, kids, or friends, family, and such. I mean, in the first film, there'd be people talking to the cops about, there's this guy with a black coat. Motherfucker, you out of your mind? The cops were shooting at him in the first movie, so you already think there'd be some kind of word on this guy going around. Like the witness in the first movie, at the beginning of the first movie, who survived the vampire stuff. It's like, yeah, there's this guy in this black coat. He was a black man, wears sunglasses. There'd be sketches and word on the street already for the cops looking for him. I don't know, just the cops are looking for Blade. That's just not an interesting story to me. It's really not. And again, I don't like that they kill off Kris Kristofferson's character. Like, you just brought him, you killed him off kind of at the end of the first, well, in the third act of the first movie. Then you bring him back, which was cool, and Kris was a lot of fun in the second movie. It was a lot of fun. And then you give him not much to do here and just kill him off again in this movie. Like, why do you bring him back in the second movie to just kill him off in the next? It just seems like a fucking waste. Just seemed like a waste. And then I try to go in this direction of maybe Blade will be a bad guy, or he'll be, you know, whatever the hell they're trying to do at the end. Just like there's multiple endings. So it's like Blade is going to be the thirst is going to take over him, or I don't know. Again, whatever the hell direction they were going for. It's like if Wesley Snipes, I mean, if Wesley Snipes saw this and he wasn't happy with it, I mean, I can understand the frustration, but he just should have handled it better. Then, of course, the guy that got to play Dracula, what a fucking, was it Dominic Purcell from Prison Break? Number one, I didn't watch Prison Break, so I don't know much about that. And as an actor, he leaves a bit to be desired in terms of, like, Dracula, you think of impact or charisma or intensity. I don't think Dominic Purcell doesn't really have much of any of that. It's also interesting that you want to talk about the Night Stalkers, but you don't have Morbius in this. There's an alternate ending to the first Blade, where Wesley and the girl are on like a rooftop and they look over and they see a figure staring down at them, and that's supposed to be Morbius. But then, not in the second one, not in the third one. Just look up some info on the film. So it cost $65 million and made $132 million worldwide. Wesley Snipes was unhappy with the film's script and original choice of director. David Goyer was then selected to replace the director of the film, which Snipes also protested. Snipes reportedly caused difficulty during filming, including frequently refusing to shoot scenes, often forcing director Goyer to use stand-ins and computer effects to add his character to scenes. Pat Oswalt, who's in the film, says Wesley Snipes would spend much of his time smoking weed in the trailer and that he became violent with Goyer after accusing him of racism. Snipes refused to interact with the rest of the cast and crew, including Goyer, and would instead communicate with them through an assistant or in notes. Snipes said, as an executive producer on the film, he had the authority to make decisions, but that some people had difficulty accepting that. And yeah, the cast of the film, you got Wesley Snipes, of course, which I've always been a Wesley Snipes fan. I mean, I liked him in White Men Can't Jump. Passenger 57, Demolition Man, of course, Blade 2. I mean, sadly, after the tax evasion stuff, which I think was stupid, he went to jail for that. I mean, there are people that have diddled kids and they got less jail time than Wesley Snipes. That's what I find ridiculous. And then after that, I mean, he was in Expendables 3, which wasn't that good of a movie. I mean, he really hasn't done a whole lot. I mean, he was in some Eddie Murphy stuff, which was cool. I mean, Terminator 2 was awful, but he was in... My Name is Dolomite? Is that what it's called? Where Eddie Murphy played Rudy Ray Moore. I always forget the name of that movie. Like, that was fun. Then soon we're going to have Jessica Biel here as the daughter Whistler. She was in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 film, which I saw in the theater. I actually do like it. I know some people hate that remake. I don't mind it. He was also in I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. She was in the A-Team movie in 2010. She was in the Total Recall remake. And then later on we're going to see Ryan Reynolds. So of course later on we'll be in the Deadpool films. Then Dominic Purcell's Dracula, known for his role in Prison Break. Parker Posey has been that female vampire we've seen from time to time. She was in Scream 3. She was in Josie and the Pussycats. She worked for Lex Luthor's Superman Returns. Of course, Triple H, Nipple H, Preparation. I never liked Triple H. We passed by, but like James Remore as one of the FBI guys. If you that guy looks for James Remore from the Warriors and the bad guy in 48 Hours. Pat Oswalt. Yeah. I mean, like I said, Wesley Snipes working with the vampires in Blade 2 I thought was more interesting, worked better with the story. And was still this focus on Blade, and we're following Blade. With this one, it's like we gotta take time now to set up Jessica Biel's character. Then we're gonna have to have some bit for what Ryan Reynolds' character, and I really didn't care for the additions. I didn't care to see additional people, additional characters join and be given the front and center bill away from Blade. I mean, it's not just Biel's fault, but I don't give a fuck about Whistler's daughter. I don't give a shit. Now, superhero films, I mean, you gotta think about it. This is before the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Iron Man was 2008. This was 2004. So this is the era where you had Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man 2 was this year, 2004. You had X-Men films. You had Daredevil, which was, I think, 2003. Elektra would be like a year or so after this. So, I mean, those are the type of comic book films that were coming out. And then DC, I mean, Batman Begins would be 2005. Maybe Catwoman was out maybe this year or somewhere around there. like I said, Batman Begins would be in 2005, give or take. So I'm just kind of naming all these films that showcases where we were in the superhero genre, like on the precipice of them kind of gaining new life again. Well, I mean, Spider-Man 2 is very successful. Daredevil was a hit in 2003. People don't like the film. I do. But it was a hit. But yeah, like this film and Catwoman and then Elektra later just kind of petering out. Then Batman Begins go, oh, okay, wait a minute, what's this? And then if The Dark Knight and Iron Man, two big superhero films in the same year, really kickstarted things once again. If it's petering out, that's where it really got kickstarted. Rejuvenated. There's James. Oh, on the boat, James Remar was on the right. Again, he was in 48 Hours, with him and Sonny Landham as the bad guys, and then the Warriors. Don't stick up. What was it? Don't take that bat, stick up your ass, and make it to a popsicle. That's the thing. Like, okay, Whistler is gonna go down because of some SWAT team in the next movie. Like, that's what I wanted from Whistler. We brought him back from the dead, or whatever the hell happened. Yeah, well, he gets killed by the SWAT team in the next one. And hasn't been the film. He's had like one scene before this, with some pithy dialogue. And with Blade, pretty much after that action scene, it's a little bit of this where he's. I wonder if this is like one of the. This is one of the things to notice. How many times do you see Wesley Snipes double? How many times do you see there was an effect done to put him in there? Well, Whistler ain't coming back from that. Even the way the explosion shot, just these weird shots where some stuff isn't in the correct frame. Like the house is kind of like, you see the house, but it's kind of like here, kind of cut off. I imagine this is the house for the camera, but then it's like kind of down below here, and then you see the house, but it's like on the side here and such. Like that up close of Wesley's face, you tell the background was fake. Like the up close, the background of the city was fake. And like a good chunk of the movie is just gonna be Wesley Snipes trapped in this fucking cubicle, interrogated. Like that's what you wanted from a Blade film. Let's have a good chunk of the movie be Blade just trapped in fucking interrogation. That's the thing. I mean, I don't know. There was more to the story, and then because of the difficulties, things had to be changed and things had to be moved around. But yeah, it comes down to I just really don't care for the story they told. Dracula doesn't seem like a big threat that could overcome Blade. I mean, he barely feels like a fucking character. Like, if he was truly by himself and now he had to try to learn in the world without Whistler, and so now he's got to figure out how to depend on him and him alone. So he's got to stay by himself. Has these deep inner thoughts of, do I really want to keep helping humans? Should I just succumb to the vampiric ether of the soul? Press F to doubt, because Whistler was his father figure and these guys killed him. So now it's like, should I really give a shit? Do they really want to be saved? And then, realize he should not have, yes, his first instinct to save, to protect was the right way to go all along. But that's not really where it goes to. Part of me thinks maybe David Goyer thought maybe he wanted to go on that route, but he didn't fully commit. And then there's this weird, lousy ending. Or because they shot multiple endings, and it's like, oh, is Blade going to kill this poor lady because of the thirst? And then there's like, depending which ending is like, oh, as if they're going to hunt him down. Or, again, the way or Blade, Dominic Purcell's Dracula pretends to be Blade's body so that Blade gets away, and then it's supposed to be like this question mark as he rides off. Is he going to fight for the humans? Is he going to become a monster? If they did let's say everything worked out and a Blade 4 happened, were they going to hunt Blade? Is that what it's going to be? The hunt for Blade? I know there's also talks of, oh, it's to be like apocalypse where humanity is on its last legs and then Blade has to fight like a world of vampires. I'm like, well, then that would mean his goal in these films failed. His goal was to get rid of the vampires and, help humanity a little bit. If he made a film where the world was fucked and it was a world, then, okay, he failed then. That means he fucking failed. I don't think David Goyer was the right director for the job. Wesley Snipes should have behaved a bit better and, be a bit more of a, eat a piece of humble pie. If he had frustrations, we should have talked it out in the script form, not while in the making of the movie. Because in the script, it's like, hey, I'm an executive producer of this script. Yeah, I'm not sure about this direction. I don't like, the fact that you're taking stuff away from Blade. Then you talk with David Goyer with the script. And then you make sure the script is finite. Then go find a director. And go, hey, well, Wesley, what directors did you want? Give me a list of directors you would want. There's many ways you could have fucking... And I blame both parties. I blame David Goyer and I blame Wesley Snipes. David Goyer writing, directing it. He wrote the script. He came up with the ideas. Wesley Snipes didn't behave like a fucking adult. If you're staying in your fucking trailer smoking weed all goddamn day, that's like a rebellious teenager in fucking college. Fuck this, I'm gonna get stoned in my dorm. I love Wesley Snipes, but come on now. That's bullshit. I don't think he was, like, David Goyer, I think, may be a shitty director. He may be a decent writer. Some films he wrote I like, some I don't. But I don't think he's a fucking racist. So that seems like a cop-out answer that you want to say at that time that get people turning their head. What? He's what? Cry racism. Come on, Wesley. I'd have to look up. I'm sure he's been since when Blade was in Deadpool and Wolverine, which I know during that film Wesley Snipes said nice things about Ryan Reynolds. There was talks that in this period he called Ryan Reynolds a cracker. He denies that, but I mean, does he deny that because it didn't happen, or does he deny it because he knows he would look bad? I mean, the fact that, after this, film did not do that well. He really didn't have a lot of films going into theaters. He really did not. In fact, the movie's still playing, but I'm going to open up this just to take a quick look at what his filmography was during this time period. If I can find it, come on. Yes, Wesley Snipes performances. I typed up. So, I mean, he was starring in films like Murder at 1600 and Money Train and U.S. Marshals and such. But around this time, this was the only film going into theaters for Wesley. Because the same year, a direct-to-video film called Unstoppable, which wasn't that good of a movie, 7 Seconds, The Marksman, The Detonator, The Contractor. 2/3 of those movies, if you look at the cover, he's wearing the fucking Blade sunglasses. And they suck. The Contractor, The Detonator, The Marksman. I did 7 Seconds. That's how long you remember the film after watching it. Chaos with him and Jason Statham. The Art of War 2. They all suck. They went direct to video. They sucked. You had Game of Death, which sucked. Gallow Walkers were little like shit. And then that was around the time of the tax evasion, being in jail. And then when he got out, Dolomite's My Name. That's the Eddie Murphy film with that he played Rudy Ray Moore. Wesley Snipes was good in that. But that was fun. But then Coming to America 2 sucked. He was in films like Armed Response. Who gives a shit? In the last film he was in is Deadpool Wolverine. Before that, Back on the Strip. People, I'm sure nobody remembers. And then he was on this TV show that didn't last long. I can't remember what the hell it was now because I can't see it here, the TV show. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But yeah. It's not a great time with Wesley Snipes. Not the best time. And then this is our introduction to Ryan Reynolds, so... Yeah. And you can tell the way the Blade character interacts with Ryan Reynolds. But that was real. And I don't even think Ryan Reynolds did a bad job in the film. You did definitely see the early elements of what you see in the Deadpool films. Nice tip through the wall there. But yeah, I don't mind Ryan Reynolds in the movie. I'm sure Wesley Snipes didn't like the sense of humor and thought, well, does that really work for a Blade film? Well, I mean, come on. In the first film, you had Blade go, what the fuck, y'all, you goddamn mind? So, like, did you forget that, Wesley? But you definitely know Ryan Reynolds did not have a good time because once in a while someone would ask a question about Blade Trinity and then he would kind of dodge the question. Because he probably didn't want to say anything bad or such. It's great also to have an action scene where there's blinking lights, so it feels like you're going to go into a fucking schizo seizure of epilepsy. It's great to have this fucking blinked dimming of lights in and out. So I don't have epilepsy, but it's a bit annoying to watch, I will say. This kind of dimming. Giving me a fucking headache watching it. And Ryan Reynolds, I mean, he is just playing Ryan Reynolds. I mean, he's less jokey in this compared to other films, though. But I like Ryan Reynolds. I know he's in some shit because of. I still don't know the whole story. The thing with his wife and this director, and I guess the wife said the director did something, but the director's like, no, I didn't really do that, and I don't know. Again, why did they think it was a good decision to do a whole goddamn action scene when the lights keep dimming and brightening? Like, that's going to be annoying to the fucking viewer. You know, you might as well have someone having the light switch going. Also, how great, you know, there's an action scene happening. Let's have Blade just leave for a bit. You know, the star of your fucking film. The guy people want to see the most in a Blade film. This is a fun line, though. Forgot my sword. And it's a cool landing, like superhero landing. And like the action scene was kind of there. I mean, Wesley Snipes didn't have a whole lot to do during that. You know, Triple H in this is kind of like Bill Goldberg in Universal Soldier: The Return. Only, number one, I like that film a lot more. And number two, I think Goldberg did a better job than Triple H. Triple H I never liked as a wrestler. Never, ever did. Oh, it's the game, and its promos are all the same. That's why I call him Nipple H, Preparation H. I remember back to the day of Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and he's the proper gentleman doing the bow, and he was the villain because of that, and fighting the Godwins, or one of the Godwins, in the pigsty amongst the pigs and shit and stuff. Then he died with DX, Shawn Michaels, married the boss's daughter. Then you would see a lot more of him. Jim Cornette said it best. He's not the guy. He's the guy that works with the guy that makes the money. But they try to prop him up as the head guy for a few years, and it seemed like the fans were into it. There are a lot of fans of Triple H. I don't think he's that great of a wrestler. I think he's pretty slow and just boring in the ring. I think his WrestleMania entrances are fucking ridiculous. Holding Terminator skulls, or think he's fucking Conan. I think they're ridiculous and silly and stupid. And yeah, I'm not a fan of Triple H. I much prefer Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. What's funny is like Wesley Snipes here, his rant. This feels like a real rant of like him. This is how he really felt about this group. Look at you got a fuck you sticker. Like, this is how he really felt about these folks. That on the right, there's Patton Oswalt, who I'm not a Patton Oswalt fan. He did some of these documentaries. I'm asking myself, why am I supposed to give a shit what Patton Oswalt thinks about stuff? I remember when that Ghostbusters 2016 film came out, and James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, he did a video saying, a review, I refuse. Because he was doing a lot of Ghostbusters related stuff. He's a big fan of the film, the first film, and he like was going to the locations, doing all this other stuff. And he had countless people asking him over and over and over again, are you going to see the new Ghostbusters? He's like, no, I'm not, for these reasons. It doesn't interest me. I don't like that it's not a sequel. And he put that video out because for his subscribers and fans to stop asking, are you going to see it? They just watch the video. And Pat Oz was all this guy, he's calling James Rolfe a bunch of names. And don't get me wrong, James Rolfe is not perfect. Nobody is perfect. I mean, if I looked at Angry Video Game Nerd on a tangent, I liked a lot of his older stuff. A lot of his new stuff, not for me. It's cool that he's hanging in there, but at the same time, age catches up with everybody. You can tell he doesn't really want to keep doing this, which I don't blame him, but AVGN is his bread and butter. And like the stuff with the neighbor guy, I much prefer Mike Matei. His movie sucked. I don't think he scammed people. It's just that he did not know how to make a movie, so he overspent. He spent way too much on shit that if he had more knowledge and more capabilities, he would have been able to utilize that money better. But it was a shitty film. And the stupid shit where you had the 30 days of Halloween, Monster Madness, and then he's having other people write his reviews for him. Like, why? Just sit down and do the review. It's a 5-minute review, these things. You tell me you can't sit down and talk about a film for 5 minutes without someone needing to write a script for you. And the screenwave, the guys he got around him were just, yeah. And then try to push him to that podcast, and then he barely talks, or people interrupt him, and say in a podcast you really need to talk, you need to be energetic. And James Rolfe in real life is like an introvert. Like what he's trying to project himself as the AVGN, he's pretty much doing Mike Matei. Because if you watch Mike Matei play a game, he's the real angry video game nerd. So I always feel that James Rolfe was imitating Mike Matei. And then people talk to him, they think he's that type of guy. It's like, no, that's Mike Matei. James Rolfe is in real life an awkward, shy introvert. But at the same time, like that stuff I said, if that's the worst someone did, he's one of the better jamotes on the internet. There are people who do YouTube channels that are fucking perverts and PDF files and swap people and literally do steal from people. There's a lot worse fucking people than James Rolfe. So the fact Pat Oswalt went after him, and then later on said, well, actually, in retrospect, maybe this is a guy I should not have gone after. Yeah, and you didn't really apologize. You're a fucking jerk. You're a dickhead and you're an asshole. Fuck you, Pat Oswalt. I know there's also this, I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory of, Pat Oswalt may have killed his wife. I'm like, really? What the hell is this about? I don't know if there's any credence to that, but it's just rumblings that put out there. So here we get the backstory of Dracula, which some of his demon form kind of looks neat. But then with Dominic Purcell, it just one of the least effective Draculas. Eddie, do you think your Dracula should be a much bigger deal? And I think Steven Dorff had a bit more personality It felt like he was in the film more to showcase, be a consistent presence. And then I think in the second film, that villain felt much more into. This is an ugly shot. I don't know why you have this shot in the film where he's walking slow, but you see the sky going so fast. It looks ridiculous when you have this guy going like Benny Hill music should be playing when that guy's going. So we finally have like a true Dracula scene. And just from like this is the fucking Dracula guy, really? I just don't think it was the best bit of casting. I'm sure they felt, well, Prison Break, is a show people are talking about. Get this guy. Didn't really work out. And just the way he talks, it just comes off as very blasé, very boring. I mean, you just compare it to how Duncan Reeder played it in the Monster Squad. Or Christopher Lee, or some other people. Are there really stores that have this much shit of Dracula in it? Do they even still make Count Chocula? Like, he didn't play Dracula, but a bad guy that I think really did a good job was Gabriel Byrne in End of Days. He was playing the devil. And he had a bit of that kind of suaveness, and then he had, like, fun scenes, like, hey, that's a good shirt. And the guy tells him to fuck off. Hey, kid. And makes the kid get hit by a fucking vehicle. Nice shirt. Does he have, like, a devil shirt on? Like, stuff like that was cool. Yeah, you can tell just the way Wesley Snipes' character a lot of times just ignores or is very stoic around Ryan Reynolds' character. Granted, that's who Blade is. I mean, him doing differently would be a bit weird, but at times a bit like the standoffish attitude. And again, these other people, like, okay, here's this blind girl and Pat Oswalt, like, at least with the vampire group in the second film, you had this underlying tension of, okay, we're allies, but they're still my enemy, and I think the stuff between him and Ron Perlman were fun, going back and forth, and it felt like we were always going forward. We're going to the club, we're going to the sewer system, all that stuff. Here we're kind of just stagnant, it seems. And when Dracula goes in and kills these people, I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck that Dracula kills these people, because I barely know who the fuck these people are. Like Pat Oswalt, he just doesn't fit in this. Got look at these old computers in the background. Things have changed since 2004, haven't they? I mean, hell, it's been almost 20 years, so... Well, no. More than 20 years. What am I talking about? Because we're in 2020. Yeah, so it's been... Holy shit. 22 years. God damn. I wanted to negate that because goddamn I feel old. I know it's getting a bit darker on the camera, but because the clouds are coming in, but I don't want to put on the fucking light because the room will get hot because even with clouds, it's Texas and it'll be hot as shit. That's the thing about Texas. You have clouds, you have all sorts of shit, it'll still be 80, 90 degrees. So. But to be fair, the background, I mean, it's not like Blade Runner and stuff where you need to see all this nifty shit in the background. It's just me. You know, I've had on the side people like, why don't you show the movie? Yeah, because it would get blocked. I don't think some people know. I mean, Jonathan's cool. Other people, a lot of people have been cool. But people I never hear from before, and they'll pipe up. Oh, how come? I'm like, dude, number one, I never heard from you before. Number two, do you know how copyright works on YouTube? So, do you like Ryan Reynolds? It's like a little precursor to Deadpool, but still feels like a sedated Deadpool. Or again, maybe because of what was going on and the tension and all the other stuff, that they couldn't really, you know, maybe Ryan Reynolds would have been felt more free to do stuff. He would get this montage, which at times goes so breakneck with all the split screens, it gets a little bit much. That went by so fast, I barely anything gelled with me. And again, you look at the set. There's supposed to be this presence where, okay, now he's FBI most wanted. The cops are looking for him, but you don't really feel any tension of, oh, we gotta be careful. I mean, they're right in the fucking daylight, open space, not worried that the cops and other people will find them. It's just like they bring that up, and then they're not worried about getting caught, being followed by the. I mean, it's business as usual for Blade. Even the way the film looks, like right here in this scene, there's like this weird yellowish filter for some reason. I get because of the sun, I guess, but but yeah, I like Ryan Reynolds. I mean, some people don't like him. They don't like his humor. They don't like his shtick. I do. I think Ryan Reynolds is not the problem with the movie. And Jessica Biel isn't really like an issue either. It's not like she, you know. Maybe with a better director and better story, the three of these characters could work together. But yeah. I'd be curious to hear other people's thoughts on this. You know what? Actually, my friend Michael, I may request him to do a commentary on this just to get his thoughts on this. Yeah, Dracula is just a fucking boring ass fucking character. Just boring as fucking hell. Acting wise, character wise, intensity wise. He just didn't seem like. I mean, the idea of Dracula, yeah, is a worthwhile foe, but this one, no. Doesn't seem like a worthwhile foe. I'm just curious about something as you get this kind of lousy chase sequence with some very obvious wire work at times. I'm just curious what some other people say about this. Why introduce a whole bunch of characters when you're going to kill most of them off anyway? The vampire films come off as rejects from an early draft. And the vampires, like Triple H, will let it belong in a cartoon rather than an R-rated action film. Dominic Purcell delivers an un-Dracula-like portrayal. During the first encounter, why the hell is Dracula running away from Blade? I mean, this is supposed to be Dracula, the strongest vampire there is. Yeah, I don't know why. That's a good question. Why is he running away from Blade this goddamn much? It's a good question. You pussy. Are you a pussy? Dracula's a pussy. Dracula, why are you such a pussy? Dracula looks like a bouncer from Romania. Yeah, some people have problems with Ryan Reynolds. One says painfully generic. Yeah. So. Some just don't like Ryan Reynolds, which, you know, I can understand. I mean, I don't hate him. I mean, that's the thing. Why is Dracula running away? Yeah. Now that why is Dracula running away from Blade? He's supposed to be the Billy Badass. Be like, okay, Blade, I'm gonna fuck you up. It should be like Blade's fighting him and getting his ass kicked, but he's barely able to get away, barely able to manage. And then I don't know, it's like I don't know. Like that whole chase scene was lousy. It wasn't that fun, exciting, exhilarating of a foot chase. The wire work was very obvious. Dracula comes off as he does seem like a overqualified bouncer, and your big bad villain's gonna run away from fucking Blade in the first go. I mean, it's Dracula of all people. So yeah, why is he running away? Because he's a pussy. So Jessica Biel is having thoughts of her dad when there's no connection. We never knew about this character before, so I don't really feel the connection she had with her dad. There's no scenes between her and Whistler. If like Whistler were still in this and the two of them had this kind of awkward father-daughter relationship, and then by the end Whistler's dying and then she, they reconnect and then... But no, that's not the case here. It just feels like Blade barely has shit to do in this. I mean, that foot chase was uneventful. The montage was so much split screen, coming at you like you got ADD that you barely register anything. The police station, he was very brief, and then he escaped the dead sword, and the Night Stalkers had to do the rest. I mean, the only worthwhile action scene so far for Blade has been the opening. And we're over an hour in. And Dracula comes off as boring and bland, opposite of energetic, opposite of charisma. Dominic Purcell, he has not impressed me as an actor. Yes, to be fair, I've not seen the TV show Prison Break. I've seen... There was a Clive Barker... I don't know if he directed it, or... I think it was based on a Clive Barker story, and... Maybe Joel Schumacher directed it? That I thought was okay, and he was okay in it. I forget what the fuck it was called now. I think Joel Schumacher directed it. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, just... People watch it going, who the fuck is this villain? Like, why did they choose him? This is the wrong choice for Dracula. Terrible choice. Fuck, give me Gerard Butler from Dracula 2000. Is he the worst Dracula? No, I would probably still give that to Van Helsing. And again, if it's trying to draw this conclusion of, without the feeding, then he'll go rabid, he'll go feral, and start hunting humans, then David Goyer didn't really do a good job approaching that material, because it just feels very clunky by the end of it. I forget how boring this film could get. Again, these people, I don't give a fuck about the blind tech girl. I don't care about Patton Oswalt. Jessica Biel, I have no... As an actress, eh. As a character, you know, you throw in one little scene in a shower of her thinking of her dad, which actually sounds wrong the way I put it. But that's technically what it is, but not in the way you're thinking. Or hope to think. But... I didn't try to put this whole, the human, the FBI working with the vampires. Even that feels a bit clunky, and... It makes it seem as if they should be watching every step because the FBI and such is going to hunt them down. And but then again, Wesley Snipes was out in the daylight chasing Dracula without any repercussions. A foot chase with Dracula. And like in the first film, there's this rising escalation of, oh my god, they're going to be in the daylight. Vampires are able to be in the daylight. We need to stop it. In the second film, this infection is growing and growing, and even vampires are being infected, and they're going to become these weird, crazy creatures. We need to stop it. Here, I don't feel that rising tension. I think this is the blood farm. I know this was an idea that they had for the first movie. Because on the DVD for Blade, I don't know if it's on the Blu-ray, but on the DVD for Blade, this was like in a storyboard, like deleted material. Like they storyboarded ideas, and this was one of them, like the human, the blood farm. So I just David Goyer. I know David Goyer wanted an action scene with a car that was going to be in the first or the second. He finally got to do it in this. He wanted this blood farm idea. He finally got to do it in this. And David Goyer, again, he's not, a great director. He's a decent writer. Okay, if I looked at David Goyer films, right, his credentials. Now, granted, some of these films that could have been rewritten, etc. But this is what he's listed as: Death Warrant, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I like that film. Not my favorite Van Damme film, but I liked it. He was a writer on Kickboxer 2. Oh, the one that killed Van Damme's character off. Okay, fuck that movie. Demonic Toys, awful film. Arcade, not that good of a film. He was a writer on the 94 film The Puppet Masters. Don't mind it. You base it on a Robert A. Heinlein novel. The Crow City of Angels, awful movie. Dark City, good. Blade, good. Blade 2, good. Okay. He had a hand in writing Batman Begins, but then he directed The Invisible. He had a hand in writing Jumper, which I wasn't a fan of. He directed The Unborn, which was pretty lousy. He had a hand in writing Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Terminator Dark Fate. Really? Now, Terminator Dark Fate, to be fair, has also Justin Rose and Billy Ray writing it. And then Batman v Superman has David Goyer and Chris Terrio. So he's not the only one. But... oh yeah, and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, which is another terrible film. See what I mean? And he didn't write The Dark Knight. He came up with a story treatment, but he didn't write The Dark Knight, apparently. So, this film I thought sucked. The Invisible wasn't much. The Unborn I thought sucked, which he wrote and directed. But yeah, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Terminator Dark Fate. All films I thought were dog shit. Fucking dog shit. So, there you go. My point is, he's not grade A material, in my opinion. Now, right then and there, why didn't he just kill Ryan Reynolds' character? Just kill Ryan Reynolds' character. Just kill him. Boom. Done. I mean, they kill all the other people. Why not just kill Ryan Reynolds' character right then and there? Oh, because of X, Y, and Z reasons. Okay. Oh, I hope they don't kill the blind lady who I barely know and don't give a shit about. Oh yeah, Pat Oswalt and the other guy got killed too. But again, I don't... Why should I give a shit about them? You think they have like better security, just in case. Also, maybe not have a little fucking girl around in case vampires find your hideout. Vampires might find our hideout. Let's not have a little girl around here. Oh, beware, she got a gun and she's blind. I find it funny if that's the case, that if Dracula's hiding from a blind lady. Just of course, the idea is that there's dead bodies, but she don't notice, so the irony of it. Okay, dude, you don't have to pretend to be Whistler anymore. She's blind. She can't see that you're Whistler. I don't know why he hasn't changed already. By the way, why would he pretend to be Whistler? Why wouldn't he pretend to be Blade? Pretend to be the guy that they think is dead. Why don't you pretend to be Blade? Oh, hey, Blade, how's it going? So for those who just following if you're following this like a podcast, we're at the scene where he killed the blind lady off screen and the little girl's hiding in the vent. Dracula will find her. I say I don't find this bigger threat Like in the first two, the vampires don't walk in the daylight. The infection is spreading across all. Look, there's hundreds and hundreds of them in the sewers. I don't feel that escalation in this at all. Not a single bit. I don't even get like, why not kill Ryan Reynolds' character? Oh, you don't take him hostage as bait? Really? Him? I'd be like, oh, I got a little girl. I'm going to kill Ryan Reynolds. I'm going to get the little girl as bait. That'll be more of what to utilize for a hostage, an innocent little girl, not fucking Ryan Reynolds. Hell, nowadays some people be like, nah, you keep Ryan Reynolds. I didn't. I don't. I vaguely have followed the story with the Ryan Reynolds, his wife and stuff. Guess I don't want to talk too much about it until I actually give a shit to look more into the details of it. We're 80 minutes in. We're an hour and 20 minutes in, and this is just shitty so far. It's just very uneventful. Action-wise, plot-wise, villain-wise. Other than maybe a little bit of the opening, the rest of it is just bare generic shit. Action, I mean, again, David Goyer doesn't really. I mean, even Stephen Norrington had a sense of style in the first Blade. And you saw that in film like Death Machine, which he did before that. David Goyer doesn't have a style. He doesn't have a style. He doesn't have a. Something that qualifies. Immortality will come to such as are fit for it. I feel like this, I mean, it should have been like much more gruesome to really sell on the fact that this guy's sadistic. Like bloody, torn apart, grisly, to really make a statement. Sorry, blind lady, I hardly knew ye. Hardly knew ye. Shit happens. Yeah, go ahead and scream. Scream on my dick. Ah. Scream on my dick. Ah, that's another thing. You have a vampire Pomeranian. And the way it has like the creatures in Blade 2 with the jaw and such opening like that. I'll admit, this interaction between Ryan Reynolds and Triple H is kind of funny. I gotta admit, I did get a chuckle out of this. I was talking about her. And yeah, I did get a chuckle out of it. I did. I think they took the little girl as hostage. So again, why do they need Ryan Reynolds as a hostage then? If it's not as a hostage, then yeah, I don't really think you need him. Now Ryan Reynolds around this time, I mean, he had done. Man, this is a show I vaguely remember. I have to watch it again. It was like two guys, a girl, in a pizza place. And I think it lasted a few seasons. I want to say it was on ABC. It was two guys, a girl, in a pizza place. And I'd have to watch that again because it's been forever since I've seen that show. But I know that was the first time I ever saw Ryan Reynolds. And he might have appeared. Was it an X-Files episode? Was it? I can't remember. It was some TV show he appeared on an episode or so. And then movie-wise, I'm trying to think the first movie I saw him in movie-wise. I know Van Wilder was before this, but I don't think that was the first one I saw him in movie. I know the same year, I think Harold and Kumar go to White Castle, and he makes an appearance in that. I love that movie. That movie's fun. I love Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. Very entertaining movie. And then for a while they tried to make him a movie star, and as things were now working out, Green Lantern did not do well at all. There's a few other swings at bat. Until finally Deadpool. I mean, he was in X-Men, X-Men Origins Wolverine. But the actual film Deadpool came out, and that definitely helped. But yeah, you had some bad ones, like R.I.P.D. was pretty bad. That's the thing, I know he always makes fun of Green Lantern. Dude, R.I.P.D. is way worse than Green Lantern. Put it right out there. You want to see a worse Ryan Reynolds film? Watch R.I.P.D. Way worse again than Green Lantern. Ah, there's the little girl. I don't think Ryan Reynolds does a bad job, and I didn't. There's a semblance of people that just hate Ryan Reynolds. They just hate his shit. They hate his sense of humor. I'm not in that realm. I liked him. I liked his humor. I liked his vibe. You know, Free Guy was okay. I don't think I review. I didn't get a request to review it, so I never reviewed it. But I didn't mind Free Guy. I didn't see the one he did, but was it called Imaginary? No, that was another movie. The one where it's like these imaginary animals. It's like more of a kid's film. 6 Underground I liked. I liked 6 Underground. I thought that was a lot of fun of a Michael Bay movie. A lot of people didn't like it, but for Michael Bay over the top this, I like to rewatch that again, 6 Underground. I did quite like that. Buried, I wasn't a fan of. I'm trying to think of other films he's been in. There's one he did with Sandra Bullock, which was okay. And it was again the Deadpool trilogy. I stop stuttering. Deadpool 2, I would say, is my favorite of the three. I like Deadpool 1. I like Deadpool and Wolverine. I have issues with them. I don't love them, but I like them. Deadpool 2, I think, is the strongest of the three. I think that's the most consistently entertaining. But yeah, again, Deadpool and Wolverine and the first Deadpool definitely have their moments. Again, Wesley Snipes, a lot of this movie is just him standing by the side watching. That's the thing, when you look at the other films, you see the various bits, you know, even just not action, but lines of dialogue, interactions, the way he was interacting with Ron Perlman and them, and interacting with Whistler, and felt there was more to the Blade character, unlike this. Has it seemed like we've forgotten about the whole FBI looking for Blade in them? Has it seemed like we've forgotten about all that? Oh, you're public enemy number one, and it looked like you killed a human, and you got, the FBI and such are after you, and you better watch your back. Have we forgotten about that? It seems like it. It doesn't seem like it's Blade is in the same situation as he was before. Able to go where the fuck he wants to, without much worry. Went out, found that blood farm. Would you think there'd be some kind of big battle to overtake the blood farm and either do whatever you can with the humans? I mean, one way or another. No big action scene amongst that. Okay. If you have this blood farm, you sure you don't want to have possibly an interesting creative action scene among that? No, let's not have that. Hey, you want to have this rising, look behind the shoulder of the FBI, the human, the cops, since they're public enemy number one? Nah, we forgot about that shit. That's not even a thing anymore, it seems. Then why the fuck do you bring it up in the first place? Why was the first third of the film was strictly about, oh, you killed a human, it was caught on camera, and now people are chasing after you. And it's like, are they chasing after him? Are they? Are they? What the fuck, are they? Are they really? Now I'm looking up something because of this thing she's been given. Bioweapon Daystar, capable of killing vampires at the genetic level. They hope that the virus will kill him, and with his blood in the mix, ensure the rest of the species is wiped out. And at the end of the film, Dracula succumbs to his wounds. He praises Blade for fighting honorably, but warns him that he will eventually succumb to his need for blood. Blade is the vampire race's future. He shapeshifts into Blade, allowing the latter to escape. FBI recovers the body, but as they begin the autopsy, he transforms back to the deceased Drake. In the unrated extended edition, the body in the morgue does not transform back into Drake. Blade awakens as the autopsy begins and attacks the doctor's FBI agents. The scene ends as he menacingly approaches a cowering lady. Ryan Reynolds narrates that the virus did not kill Blade, as the human half of his heart did not stop beating. It only slowed down, causing him to enter a comatose state until he was ready to walk the earth again. And then in another ending, the Night Stalkers, 6 months later, casino, and there's a werewolf or something. Roger Ebert, it lacks the sharp narrative line and crisp comic book clarity of the earlier films and descends too easily into shapeless fight scenes that are chopped into so many cuts they lack all form or rhythm. Another one says it does not satisfy on a visceral level. Exactly. Louder, campier, more incoherent than its predecessors. Style over substance and rehash familiar themes. Yeah. So, yeah. A lot of critics hated it for... I know a lot of... I mean, like every film, there are people who like the film. But I know a lot of people, like me, were very disappointed in Blade Trinity. Disappointed. can't remember. I know I did a show with the guys at Dead Pit, Uncle Bill, Stuntman Mark. Disappointing films. I wonder if I brought this up. I think I did. I'd have to rewatch that again. Have to rewatch that again. I'm pretty sure I did. Because this would be up there. Disappointing. Should have been better. Here's another thing. Like, what are they waiting for? They want to turn to a foot. I mean, I guess they want to fuck them up and torture them and stuff. But I guess that's the point. Like a James Bond movie. Do you want me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I want you to die. Well, then tell him already. But no, you gotta talk too much. So. Ryan Reynolds definitely got in shape for the role. You gotta commend him on that. Fucking Huey, Dewey, and Louie here. Yeah, these villains just don't come off as intimidating either. Or even mostly that entertaining. I remember when the trailer for this came out, and I was kind of excited because I liked the trailer. I thought it had a good rhythm to it. I liked the music. Weapons of Mass. Was it Mass Distortion? I think it was the Crystal Method. It was a song. It was a pretty decently edited trailer. Hit Triple H again. So you got some blade fighting in there. Which, I mean, there's some fun to be had there, because Wesley Snipes is very good at the action sequences. He's a martial artist. He moves brisk and fast. But the way this is directed, like the way the fight scenes are put together, the camera angles that David Goyer is having and using, the way it's sometimes a little bit more choppily cut and edited up. David Goyer doesn't know how to do action. He does not. Del Toro knew what he was doing. Fucking hell. I mean, this just doesn't come off as like your big finale. I don't know, I just think of like the first movie where he's kicking everybody's ass and he gets the sunglasses back after he decapitates the guy. The second film especially with "It's the name of the game," and he's like kicking people, break the guy's neck, suplex. Plus, it doesn't help that you're intercutting with all these other characters. Like you're intercutting with Jessica Biel's character, and then even the fight at the end, you intercut with three. It's like you got Blade fighting, then you got fucking Jessica Biel fighting, then you got Ryan Reynolds fighting a fucking dog or fighting fucking Triple H. So again, if you're following along, Jessica Biel just got the little girl uncuffed. Ryan Reynolds has come across the dog. So Ryan Reynolds is now gonna run away from vampire dogs. He's not running away yet, but there's three of them. Pomeranian and two, Dobermans. I'm never good with dog breeds, so I probably got that wrong, but there's three dogs. So it's like, really? Like, this is what we got in a fucking Blade film? A guy running away from vampire dogs? Like, really, guys? Would a high fall kill a vampire dog? I mean, don't you have to like stake them or do other stuff, or would that the body would be broken, I guess, but would that be healed up eventually? Like if a vampire was pushed off a roof, would he not die? Then wouldn't you have to have like stake through the heart, UV, sunlight? Just if they can't move and the sunlight will eventually come up, then they'll be dead. That's a good line. I like that line. That's like the best line Blade has. I was born ready, motherfucker. I thought the sword fight was pretty fucking lame too, considering the fights he had in the other films. Like the first one was a bit quicker than this, but a bit more focused. And again, it doesn't help that now we gotta interact with multiple fucking. Okay, some of those punches are not even connecting when Ryan Reynolds is throwing. I swear, half those punches Ryan Reynolds threw did not connect with Triple H. I swear I saw like a gap this big. The way Dominic Purcell looks with this fucking gauntlet on the arm just looks ridiculous. For some reason I thought I remember it would be Jessica Biel fighting as well, but I guess not. Just interacting between these two. Or intercutting. But even then, it's like, okay, so the guy who Blade was able to defeat twice in the matter of 30 seconds, now we gotta see Ryan Reynolds take all this time to defeat one fucking vampire. Again, the guy that we just saw Blade defeat in 30 seconds twice throughout the film. So, just doesn't make Ryan Reynolds' character seem that worthwhile, you know what I mean? Up, little wrestling move there. Oh yeah, Jessica Biel will, there you go. There she is. I could have sworn she was doing something amongst this fight. Personal preference wise, I don't like when they have to intercut between fights. Preference wise, if there's a fight, I want to stick with the fight from the beginning to the end. Because you get into the flow of the fight, you know, who has the upper hand, and then you're now concentrating on this, then this. Then you go back to this, and then, like, for a split second, you're like, okay, where were they at? They were here, they were there. He was out of the upper, you know, a hand, now he is. That's the thing, like, with the sword fight, you didn't see in the first two Blade films them oh, that's an awful looking shot where he's being kicked through the glass and oh, it's so fucking laughable. Them colliding together, that was done better in The Matrix. They want to make it seem like it's an exciting fight because they're crashing through glass, they're crashing through, you know, down here. But fuck, I thought Blade took a lot more punishment in the fight in the second film. Remember in the second film when he's being swung around and bashed through stuff and like the elbow drop, and it felt like a lot more punishing of a fight in the second one, and then you had some really good moments to kick ass and take names. Trying to remember this. So you really didn't need Jessica Biel's help to defeat Dracula. Again, this fight just came off as just shittier compared to the first two. Just a less eventful, less memorable fight. Again, maybe because of intercutting between the other ones, or it's just kind of like blasé fighting, sword fighting, the camera's far away. There's no finite moments like when Steven Dorff and Blade are going back and forth and you see the swords getting faster and the camera intercuts closer to the face, even closer, even more closer, even more closer, even more closer as this build up and delivery. Cuts the guy in half, comes back. What the fuck? Or in Blade 2, where, yeah, they look a bit hokey, but they go from the CG to the real person, but try to make it seem as if they're doing the superhuman feat and then slamming down. And again, the CG kind of stuntman in the middle to make it seem like one go maybe doesn't hold up the best nowadays, but it's still kind of an interesting idea. This, though... And so what's the idea? Is that this somehow is going to infect all vampires? So is it going to drift out of the building, I guess? And then go across the city? And then go across the state? Are they going to deliver this to multiple states? Because if the other ending was them, the Night Stalkers chasing werewolves, that would seem as if there's no more vampires. Okay, when he says fought with honor, I mean, technically you had someone shooting arrows behind your back. You know what I mean? So would that technically be with honor? Because it wasn't a one-on-one fight. You were having people shoot me in the back. And now that I think about it, I don't even know which version I'm watching. Am I watching the unrated version, or am I watching the theatrical version? Because I don't even know like what version's easy for people to find on streaming services and stuff. Because sometimes they'll just thrust out one version and not give people the choice. But yes, we'll find out together which ending this is. James Remar is such a... Like, he's a recognizable actor given nothing to do. Like, in the FBI part was fucking pointless, it seemed. Make this fucking build-up of it. For what fucking point? For what point? Didn't really accomplish much of anything. I'm trying to think which ending this is now. So it's either going to be the ending where it's Blade, but then it becomes Drake. This might be the ending. Does he turn into Drake, or is it Blade get pissed? It might be the one where Blade becomes feral. Is this where they had the CGI Wesley Snipes' eyes to open? Yep. Look at his eyes. They had the CGI his eyes open. So yeah, this is the ending where Blade gets pissed and feral and is looking at her girl in a menacing way. So it's the unrated version. But then, like, he says, oh, he's in a coma. He didn't look like he was in a fucking coma there. Either ending just sucks. Also, if he's on a fucking motorcycle, he's not really on a fucking comatose state. Just a shitty way to end it. Either way, it's just... No parting words, no parting thoughts, no interactions with the other Night Stalkers, just ran away in a fucking CGI landscape of a city. So either the other ending, Dracula pretend to be Blade, and then Wesley Snipes, character just fucks off into the city. Did no interactions with any of the other characters, no final moments. It was nice working with you. I'm not much of a talker. You're definitely Whistler's daughter. Nothing of that sort. Or in this, where did he kill? Did he not kill? That's supposed to be the question mark you have. And he didn't want to open his eyes, so they CGI the eyes open. For fuck's sake. I heard about that, but I'm like, oh, yep, you could tell. And then I don't even get what Ryan Reynolds' character is talking about a comatose state. What are you talking about? Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but it's a bit of a shit fest. Regardless, okay, with that ending, you tell me Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel just left Blade's body there? Why? Why would they just leave Blade's body there? That doesn't make a lick of fucking sense. You're two grown people. Ryan Reynolds, you tell me he couldn't lift Blade, take him back, and see how he's doing? At the very least, to not have the FBI get him and test on him and test his blood and use it for whatever reasons? Why would Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel just leave Blade's body there for that ending? For the FBI to find and bring to the autopsy? Why? Why would they just leave the body there? Why would they leave the body there? That doesn't make a lick of fucking sense. Yeah, I'm going to leave the body in case again the FBI and they test on the body, blah, blah, blah. Or he may be, waking up soon. Bring him to a facility. Let's get some stuff to feed him, See if there's anything in our compound left to feed him and shit or whatever. Now we just don't leave him there? That doesn't make a lick of fucking sense. It's a shitty ending either way. No final moments between Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel, or them and Blade. Really? None of that? It's stupid. It's lousy. It's shit. Think of Blade 2. The girl, fading away in his hands. Even the first Blade, he has a conversation with the lady. You keep your cure. My fight is still going. It's a shitty ending to a shitty fucking movie. Terrible action sequence. Well, the opening action scene is fine. The rest of action scenes are generic or forgettable or not nearly up to stuff with the first two. Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds, I don't think they did a bad job. They're just unneeded characters. They're not characters people were yearning for. People like me don't like that they took away from Blade and took the time away. Blade is either sitting in a fucking interrogation room, or he's about ready to do an action scene, then he fucking escapes to get his sword back, or he's standing around watching the others do shit, or watching a blind lady play on a computer. The action scene at the end is not nearly as fun, as exciting, as thrilling, as visceral as the first two. You wasted Kris Kristofferson. The villains were a joke. Triple H, fucking Pomeranian vampires, Parker Posey, and a Dracula that looks like he's a bouncer from Romania. What the fuck, dude? I'm stealing that line that guy wrote. He did look like a fucking bouncer. Just terrible fucking movie. Disappointing. Awful fucking movie. Blade Trinity sucks dick. Fuck this movie. Up its stupid fucking ass. So there you go. But like I said, it's fun to talk about a shitty movie because at least you'll have stuff to say. why that? Why do you do this? You know, make you fun of it. You know, it's at least it makes the time in a way go quicker. Just anger fuels it. But thanks for watching. Take care. Yeah, this is such a disappointing fucking movie, man. Disappointing. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.